Police are no doubt probing every job, every relationship, every business dealing that Spencer and Monique Tepe ever had in search of anybody who might have wanted them dead. But police in Idaho did the same thing in the King Road murders 3 years ago. And the killer turned out to be somebody completely off their radar, a random intruder bent on carnage. Whether that's the case here in Ohio, we can't say. But the two cases have already shown a surprising number of things in common. Just like the Idaho students, the Tepes loved to throw parties. And parties mean visitors who learn their way around a house and maybe how to get in and out of a house and maybe where the cameras are and how to control the alarm system. And like the Idaho students, the Tepes were killed in their bedroom, apparently between 2 and 5 a.m. Both killers left witnesses behind in the wake of their attacks, roommates in Moscow and the Tepes' children in Columbus. The victims even had the same breed of dog, a golden doodle. Kaylee Gonzalez's dog was a golden doodle as well, left behind and did not bark. Here's some of the images which you can see of the killer skulking around, coming up and around 1122 King Road. Here are some of the images they released in this case in Columbus of a person of interest. We don't know if it's the killer, but it's someone walking in the alley. No idea. But the other thing about Kaylee's dog is that Kaylee's dog was heard barking on surveillance as Brian Kohberger was escaping. We don't know if the Tepes' dog was silent as this guy was walking down the alley. But the silence of the dog could be a clue in itself. Cops are going to need all the clues they can get without question, right? Because just like in Moscow, it has been days and days with no information. I'm joined now by Lauren Conlin, host of the true crime podcast, The Outlier, and Pop Crime TV on YouTube, and a contributor to Los Angeles Magazine. She's covered both cases extensively. Lauren, thanks so much for being here. I so appreciate it. You can't ignore these similarities, right? There's so many. I know it's not the same killer, but it's the MO we're looking for. It's the pattern of the investigation. It's how to get to whoever did this. But this is so unusual because we thought for sure early on in the Moscow case that it had to be somebody who was at a party at this house beforehand.
Sure. And, you know, Ashleigh, we still don't actually know all of the real and true details if there were any connections between Brian Kohberger and his 4 victims. But I also want to point out another similarity with the Tepe double murders and the Idaho 4 is both cases have very strange 911 calls attached to them. I know that when the roommates first called 911, it was a few hours after the killings and after these text messages were shared between the roommates that they were scared and they heard someone in the house. And many people really came at these roommates very, very hard for waiting so long. And in turn, we have the Tepe 911 calls. And, you know, a lot of people have questioned online about maybe why Spencer Tepe's boss would call 911 after it was really only an hour that went by that he didn't show up to work. Additionally, another 911 call happened on April 15th, 2025, reportedly from the Tepe home, but their brother-in-law came out and said it was not Monique. And I agree. I mean, I watched the wedding video on YouTube that Rob Meisler put out, and it does not sound like Monique. She had a background in childhood education. This person on the phone, you know, she kind of talked with a little bit of slang. And additionally, yesterday it came out that there was a 911 call down the street from the Tepes 11 days before the murders occurred. And it was strange. I mean,
that one was
somebody
bizarre.
was breaking into this home.
I'm trying to figure out if that's related or just a bad neighborhood. But let me ask you about the brother, because he's changed his story, and he has now said he thought there was a party that night that unnamed woman called, slurring and saying, me and my man got into it and crying. Now he said there wasn't a party that night, right?
Yes, he originally told podcaster Joel Waldman that they had a party, and he kind of went into detail. He said, everyone knew this woman was a little drunk and she had some mental health issues. And then he kind of came out to People magazine today and said he had the dates wrong. And it was a Tuesday that this call was made at 2:45 a.m. So I guess, yeah, it might be kind of strange to have a party and guests getting into arguments at 2:45 a.m. in the middle of the week. So he said he believed that possibly that call just came from the area and not the house.
Well, the police seem to think it's the house, so we'll wait to get more information on that. I have this question for you about the wellness check that morning. First of all, I think the dentist, the boss down in Florida, was notified by his workers, and that's why he made the call. The workers in Columbus notified the boss in Florida, and he called. But I'm more concerned about the wellness check because they said, get over there and do a wellness check, and the cops went there, knocked, looked in the window, and left. And now we're finding out they may have not actually been at the right house.
They did not go to the right house. So that was revealed today during a press conference by the Columbus chief of police. She kind of said it in passing, and I was thinking, wait, so you guys have had this information you've been sitting on for what, 9 or 10 days now? And it was strange. They also said that they do not have a suspect in mind at this point. And so the video footage they released of this quote unquote person of interest, the press asked them, so is he not a suspect? And she kind of said, well, we need more information. He was clearly in the area during this time, so evidence will show if he is responsible or not. But one thing I go back to is you see the way he's walking. He's walking so slowly. He's not in a hurry. And there were shell casings left behind, right? So this person who committed this heinous act, this murder, he seemed to be in a rush, and this guy wasn't.
Right. This guy definitely is methodical. I've been told by a body language expert it could have been the ice because it was an icy cold night, but anybody's guess. I got to leave it there. Lauren Conlin, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.